We're up to our entire interview with Justin Hayward of the Moody Blues, the man who wrote Nights in White Satin, Tuesday Afternoon, so many of their big hits, The Voice, Your Wildest Dreams, some of my favorite songs of all time. I've been trying to get Justin Hayward forever. In this clip, it was a short interview, and Justin gives short answers, but they're worth it. We do talk about those hits, celebrity status, how that's not that important to him. You'll hear a crazy story about him meeting someone who he thought was a fan on an airplane. You've never heard a story like this. His reaction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, ex-member Mike Pinder, and why he doesn't want to be in a cover band, calling itself the Moody Blues with just one or two original members. Justin Hayward on Rock History Book. Hello, hello.
John.
How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. Yeah. And you?
I'm doing very, very well. Nice to see your face. I've wanted to talk to you for a long time. After 40 years in radio, there you are.
And there you are. Yeah.
You know, everyone wants to leave their mark, and I hate to sound cliche, but you know, you've got a few years on me, but I'm 63 now, and I'm looking at what I can do with my life. We become more discerning as we get older. And I'm just more careful with things. I've got a YouTube channel that does incredibly well, but I was a lazy young broadcaster. So I like doing what I do. Why do you continue doing what you do? I mean, is it your purpose? You enjoy it, obviously.
Oh, well, I never had a proper job. So yeah, I love being with my crew. I love being with the other musicians. And I feel a duty to do it, and we can do these things. We can play these songs in a sound check just perfectly and immaculately. But when the audience comes in, there's a magic that they bring to the room. It's a bit like you and I. When late at night or we listen to some piece of music and there's a kind of an atmosphere created in the room. That's what happens to me, John. I don't know whether it's the same for you, but I'm pretty sure it is. And so the audience brings some magic into that room that is quite incredible most of the time. I mean, there's the occasional heckler, but most of the time, I think we're all there for the same reason. So I'd never really want to give that up, really.
I just moved across the country again. I moved out east and I came back out west for family reasons, or it happens. And I was going through old journals and I was reconnecting with that young, 15-year-old that I was. Can you still, when you, in your mind's eye, can you still connect with that kid that was given those 78s from your grandfather? Do you still know that kid? Do you still connect with him? Your younger self?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, I've spent most of my life contemplating a ghost of myself, really, and because that's what people that's what most people are interested in, and that particular person. And so I keep having to think about. I keep having to think about a few years in my life that people are interested in. So that's okay. But I still connect. Yes, I do. I've almost come full circle, really, in that I hear a piece of music now and I hear a few words of it and I think, oh, I've got to get that. Or I listen to classic FM a lot, and I hear a piece of music and identify it, and then I'm buying it like I did at 45, and I'm kind of back to that. So if that means reconnecting with my youth, then I'm guilty, Your Honor.
Going back to leaving your mark, you know what? Hundreds of years after you and I are gone, and everyone else. I was looking at the numbers of Nights in White and Satin, and I was looking at that and I'm going, you don't know what you don't know when you're young, and you were quite young when you wrote that song. Was it really about satin sheets?
I came home from a gig one night and I knew that the other guys were wanting a song from me that we could rehearse up the next day over in a rehearsal studio in Barnes in West London. And I came home, sat on the bed, I started the bed, and I just put the two verses of Nights in White Satin together, and it was a series of kind of random thoughts. Makes sense to me, John, but I'm not sure. I've spent most of my life trying to explain it, but it's about a lot of things. Yeah, I was at the end of one big love affair and the beginning of another. But I took these two verses into the rehearsal room the next day, and I played it to everybody, and they were like, yeah. And then Mike Pinder, who got an instrument called the mellotron, he said, "Play it again." So he'd only just got this mellotron. He moved on from his Vox Continental organ, and he said, "Play it again," and I played it again. Nice in White Satin, and he went, da 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 da, and then everybody else was like, "Oh, I'm interested, man," kind of thing. And that's what I remember.
Did you know when you wrote it? I mean, some people, it goes as you can imagine. Some artists I talk to, they're all the classic rockers because that's my lane. Half of them say yes, I knew, and the other half say no. Well, what did you know about that song? Did you know you had something?
I didn't think anybody would ever hear it, but then that goes for our whole album, the Days of Future Past album. I assumed that nobody else would ever hear it. Maybe a few nerds that were interested in stereo, because that was the purpose of it.
Yeah.
To be a stereo demonstration record. But it was the executive producer, Hugh Mendel, really, who worked at Decca, was one of the elderly gentlemen at Decca. They were pretty much all elderly gentlemen then. And he had a belief in it, and he really saw it through. And when it came out, it was a budget price album. So Nights was part of that. Though I don't think anybody expected much. But then people started to get interested in it, and thank goodness FM radio started, over in your part of the world, and it sounded just right. It sounded beautiful on FM.
How did your family and friends react? You're just a guy, but you've got this really cool job, and you're really good at your job. But what did your parents say? Do you have siblings? Friends? What did they, when you started becoming that guy, how did they react?
That's a thing, isn't it? What a question. I don't know.
Did anybody treat you differently?
Did anybody treat me differently? No, I don't think. I don't know, to be quite honest. I mean, in the early days, I was lucky enough to get a job playing guitar for a rock and roll singer. Not long after I left school, I worked in an office for a couple of months, but I answered lots of ads. We're talking about this ghost of the ghost that I've been contemplating, right? You're asking me about him. See, you're asking me, and but when I joined the Moody's, it was with some kind of purpose to get my songs done. I think that was the most important thing for me then, trying to get my songs performed. And I didn't even think that I was actually going to sing them somehow. But like I say, before the Moody's, I was in London from sort of 64 onwards, 63. And the Moody's, I think in our early years, we were just trying to get the petrol money and pay the rent, So we moved into, it's not that people treated us different, we just moved in a different circle. We were in London, part of that that whole movement that was going on in London in the 60s. And I don't think we ever revisited our past or like, hey, what do you think of me now? I don't think anybody ever did that, really. We were all happy to just move on, man. That was what we were happiest.
So the quote for Tuesday afternoon that I saw was guitar and joint in hand. Well, that's a when in Rome thing. When you're young, you just, and it was also, the times, of course. Tell me something about that song. One of my favorite songs of all time, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you. That's nice. What did you say? Guitar? Well, never mind.
Guitar and joint in hand.
Yeah, there were slightly a few other things going on as well, but yeah. So it was really part of the Days of Future Past sessions when it'd been established that we would do this record along with Peter Knight, and use a format of sort of day in the life of one person. I already had the night because I'd written nights some months before. Mike had already got dawn, where dawn is a feeling, and it was like, hey, I'm in for the afternoon. And then I went back to where I was brought up in Wiltshire, in the west of England, and sort of sat in a field and wrote, uh, the song that was Tuesday Afternoon. And then I never thought much about that, but it was released as a single in the US in place of Nights. They didn't release Nights, and we had quite a decent sort of hit with it. And I think that inspired, or instigated the whole thing with our agent and Bill Graham bringing us over to the US in '68. It was, I wouldn't say it was particularly nights. It was probably Tuesday afternoon that people knew us for.
Did you see a line in the sand from the 60s and 70s?
I think you're right. I think there was a change, and I think we felt it within the Moody's. We drifted apart in '74 by just not making any plans. We'd been on the road so much, and 7 albums, one after the other, sometimes 2 a year. And there was a whole different thing going on in the US, and there was a different feeling. And I think we drifted apart. I was lucky enough to drift into the War of the Worlds with Jeff Wayne and a song called Forever Autumn. And I don't know whether that's known really in where you are, but I hope so, because I'm going to play it. And but yes, I think that, yeah, we came back in '77. We were back together recording the Octave album. And I do think really, yes, things had changed. They certainly changed in the UK. And I think we were always following our own road, though. So we never felt like we were leaders in any way. We'd been so used to being like a second at the opening act, or second and third on the bill, that what was happening in the general changes in the music business, I can't say it really affected us. We could learn from it. And then the most important thing that happened to me in the late '70s and early '80s was time code.
Mm-hmm.
Time code. It's as simple as that. MIDI. And I got, a DX7, a drum machine. Hey, my demos now, it's not just something on a Fostex. They're really something that I can take into the studio. And I think Long Distance Voyager was the first time I ever took time code into the studio with things on it that that we're really going to keep.
Everyone had a Yamaha DX7 in the '80s. Everyone had a DX7.
Yeah,
it became expensive.
Yes, still got it. Yeah.
Oh, do you really? You still have yours?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, do you keep your stuff? Like, do you have you keep memorabilia? Do you keep that stuff from the past, like newspaper clippings? Did you keep any of that stuff?
No, I don't. Sometimes I wish I had, but no, I don't. I'm a clearer outer kind of guy.
Did you do the cruise yet?
Yeah, yes, and I did one this year, and I did one last year, I think, as well. Yeah.
How did it go?
Yeah.
How
brilliant! Absolutely brilliant. Everybody's there for the same reason, respectful, really nice. Yeah.
Do people hound you? Do people do they follow you around? How does that work? Do they keep their, when you're not performing, what's the protocol for stuff like that?
Well, like I say, everybody's there for the same reason, really. They're there for the music. No, people are respectful, and people are, people are very nice, and they know the score. If you appear and that's different, it's fair enough. If you're walking through the ship or something, and then, like I say, they're all for the same reason. Nobody ever knows who I am. man, in real life. You know, even if they hear my voice, it's like, oh, it's that Moody Blues guy kind of thing. But I'm not exactly a celebrity, you know. But
I
no,
think you're being,
that
I think you're being very modest.
no, I'm not, man.
If I saw you on the street, I would recognize you.
No, you wouldn't. But no, I was on an airplane once, and the guy sitting next to me, he said, we were like, I was coming from LA to New York, and I could feel it coming on, and because he'd been looking at me sideways, you know, and I was into my book, and he said, he turned to me, he said, "Excuse me," he said, "I know you, don't I? We've met." And so I looked, and I said, "No, I don't think so. I don't think so." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, we met somewhere, you know." And so I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "What do you do?" And he was like, "Well, I'm in plastics or something." You know, I said, "Well, I don't think so." And so we let that pass, a little bit tetchy, but we let that pass. And then another 10 minutes later, he came at it again, and he said, "You know, man, you know, help me out. I know you, you know." And I said, "No, I really don't think so. You know, I'm not that great on names, but I'm pretty good on faces and places." And then, so I could feel it the third time coming. So he said, "Help me out, man. You know, like I know we've met, you know." And I said, "Okay, right. You might have seen me. I'm in a group called the Moody Blues. I'm on public television every Friday night. Just happens to be, you know, right now. And that's where you may have seen me." And he said, "No, it's not that."
What?
First of all, I can't flip it help you then.
Well, see, that's a question I ask a lot of musicians. You're in the waiting room, you're at the doctor's or wherever, and someone turns to you and says, not what you're in for, because that's none of his business, but he'll go there. He'll go, "Hey, so what do you do? Do you go there?
Yeah.
Because when you open, okay, I'm a musician. Do you know, do I know anything you've done? What happens when that question appears in front of you? What do you say?"
Well, you told me you've got the YouTube channel there, John. I mean, it must happen to you. No, it does. No. Um, well, what do you say? I usually say plastic piping. I'm in plastic piping.
He gave you that. There you go. He's in plastics.
No, plastic. Yeah, it usually ends there. No, honestly.
So you don't need that. Let me interrupt you. So you don't need that. Some people need that. You know that. We both know that. That some people, that's part of why they did it, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But so you're not wired that way.
No, not at all. It's the music that people are interested in. It's the music. It's just about that, and it's about the songs, and that's what people love. That's what people like. And you say on the cruise, that's what everybody's there for.
Yeah.
And that's what I like too. You know, I've never been that interested in recording stars' personal lives or reading their personal story or anything like that. Just give me a record, man, that turns me on, and I'm good with that.
Do you get songs coming all the time in your head?
I wish. No, I mean, I'm a guitar player, and you know, I have my keyboards as well at home, but stuff jumps out of the guitar, and you know, if we put our minds to it, that's how it usually works with me. I don't have bits of music going around in my head. I write a lot of things down now. I never used to. I always used to do it the other way around, where I would just play, something would come out of the guitar, and then I'd put a couple of lines would jump into my head, and then I'd embellish that and work on that and make a song out of it. Nowadays, I write a lot of things down, and I find that they come in useful later on, really, when I'm doing a song. I kind of do it the other way around now.
Why wasn't there a title to The Voice till after the song was it recorded? But Then you gave it the title?
Yes, that's right. I didn't have a title when I wrote it. Didn't have a title when I made the demo. Didn't have a title when I played it to the other guys. Didn't have a title when we went to the mastering suite. We used to go to a place called the Mastering Suite in Dhaka. I really used to like that bit because that was the bit where you could, you know, you knew how it was going to sound on the disc. No, and no, I'd written the lyrics down, but I could not think of a title. Now with the voice, you've got to wait. We've got to wait a while before the title comes along. It's like Question. Another song I did called Question. Some titles are easy. Nights was easy to me. I've just spent most of my life trying to explain it. You know, like we said that just now. Tuesday Afternoon was easy. Wildest Dreams. Some songs they just don't arrive. Actually, Living for Love didn't arrive. I had the song, and I had 2 or 3 titles for it.
Your Wildest Dreams is your second biggest song on Spotify. And talk
Oh, is that right?
yeah, and it's not about the same Nights of White Satin Girl, because you're looking back at old love on that. I'm just curious.
Yeah, everything's about everything. You know, relationships are so wonderful, and I make it a habit now or a rule now that if I meet somebody that's really, you know, a guy or a woman that is, you know, I'm really interested and attached to, that, then I'll stay with that person. It doesn't have to be in the business or anything.
Mm-hmm.
There are just so many interesting people in the world. But relationships are everything, and these songs are not particularly specific about one thing or about one person. I think it's a mistake to think that. I think they are sometimes just a song, and they are a collection of everybody's experiences. And like I say, sometimes they're just a song.
Yeah.
Just a song.
Yeah. Sometimes people just want oh, yeah, but what's it? But that's what it's about. Oh, okay.
We feel pressurized to give that to kind of deliver that. It's like, oh, all right, then, and then you kind of make, and then afterwards you think, was it really about that? I don't know. I just made that up, didn't I? It's like, yeah, I just made it up.
What was your reaction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Oh, well, I think for I think for the mood for our fans and people who like the music, it was a real validation of that of us, yeah, of the things that they loved, of the thing that they loved. Yeah, it was a validation of what they loved, and for us as a group, it was what the fans gave us. Because what happens with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is that committee or board of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that they kind of open a window to the fans, or let people decide. And man, there was like a steamroller from the Moody Blues fans. Like, what? Yes,
Yeah.
and it was unstoppable. That was, but it was great, and to be inducted the same time as Nina Simone was fantastic. I mean, even in the same, you know, to be even in the same kind of book as somebody like that is incredible.
Did you have a relationship with Mike Pinder after he left?
Yes, I saw. Yes, I saw Mike a couple of times. But you know, yes, I'm probably the only one who's seen Mike. As a matter of fact, I saw him at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then we met a couple of times on the road. In fact, he and his family came to see me a couple of times, solo shows, which was great. Really nice, yeah.
So
Really
I
nice.
talked to Graham about Dreadlock Holiday
Oh yeah,
a couple of years ago. So
yeah. Well, what about it? Yeah, it's like something that happened to me that happened to us. Yeah.
Yeah, well, but did it happen to you? Were you part of that when that story about getting mugged
Yeah.
or whatever?
I was on holiday with Eric Stewart. No, I wasn't. I wasn't mugged. I know but Eric and I were together. No, no, it's not mugged. It was just somebody said they were going to relieve me of some of my stuff. That's all. I don't know whether it's not the same as being mugged.
Yeah.
And I think I said something like, "Why?" I'm just like, well, because well, I said, oh, that was a present from my mum. You know, you can't have that.
Yeah, hence the lyrics.
You can't have that. Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
well.
all right then. Well,
There's no more Moody Blues. You're going to continue doing this, right?
I love what I'm doing now. I love the people that I'm with. To the musicians that I'm with, Mike Dawes is just about the most wonderful, gifted guitar player I've ever seen. Julie Reagans, I've been working with in the Moody's for quite a long time now. Um, uh, and Voice of an Angel, she loves these songs and knows how to play them. And Carmen Gould has been with us the last couple of years. And, you know, the flute and the guitars, they make such a beautiful sound, man, together. And I love this particular way of doing it. Yeah. I don't know what will happen to the Moody's, but yeah, I don't want to be in a tribute band with people who weren't there. You know, that's the way I kind of think about that.
And that's I just finished talking to Gary Peterson of the Guess Who, and I said, obviously, I said a lot of people are going, well, you know, Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman are long gone, and they don't like the fact that it's still going. But some bands just continue, and some bands are continuing with one or no members. And the fact that you're calling it Justin Hayward, because that's who you are, and considering you wrote most of the songs and the hits, works
Well,
out.
I think it's like we said before, it's about the songs. That's what people are interested in. I think that's what makes it. And you know, oh, it's like the Moody Blues guy kind of thing. The familiar voice.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm very lucky to have a voice that people recognize.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate it. I've
Oh,
been a
not
fan
at all.
for forever, and I'm glad. You know what? It sounds I'm overstating the obvious, but I'm glad you're still doing it. I'm really happy that you're still doing it.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Stay strong. Take care of yourself, my friend.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Hope you enjoyed that. What a nice gentleman, huh? I so enjoyed sitting down and talking to Justin Hayward, a guy that I've been following since I was, I don't know, for me, 14. And the hits, which, as you know, have stood the test of time. Nights in White Satin, I think, is at over 200 million listens on Spotify. Remember, support the channel. We'd appreciate that. There's a Patreon link at the very top of the description. If you want to donate money to the channel, there's also links to our PayPal. But now we've really put a lot of shorts, those little short get-to-the-point videos, on TikTok, on Spotify, and on the Facebook channel for Rock History Music and Rock History Books. All the links are there. Please join up. And as always, we appreciate you watching our videos. Like them, comment on them, subscribe to our channel, and share them on social media. I'm John Beaudin. This is Rock History Book. Take care of yourself.